Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Commander's Voice. This is Ben Powers coming at you with something new that we haven't done on the show before. And this is going to be my first ever video book review. I've been reviewing books for about 2 years now, uh, posted a variety of book reviews from publishers like Casemate, Pen and Sword, um, Osprey on Amazon, Goodreads. I used to review books on a site called argunners.com. You can still find those reviews out there. But I wanted to use the channel, the YouTube channel, The Commander's Voice, as an opportunity to try to do a book review and see if that generates any interest among folks. So the first book I want to review is Jonathan Gaugne's Finding Your Father's War, which is published by Casemate Publishing. It's in its third edition right now. And this book is specifically about how do you research your ancestors' participation in the Second World War. Jonathan has written an almost 400-page book that's divided into 5 sections about understanding how the Army worked during the Second World War, identifying where you can locate individual records, understanding organizational records, such as company morning reports, after action reviews, things of that nature, how you can go about obtaining records through a variety of sources, such as the National Records Administration, some other areas like that, and also how to make sense of the evidence that you may have in the form of papers left over from your parents, grandparents, an uncle or aunt who served, whether it's an old uniform, whether it's old decorations, whether it's photographs, such as this photograph of my grandfather and my grandmother with 2 of their friends during the Second World War, whether it's old newspaper clippings. This is a newspaper clipping also about my grandfather back in 1940, or whether it's even records that might not even make sense to you if you don't have a military background. This is a 1940 style officer record brief, which, due to my time in the Army, I didn't have too much trouble understanding and translating 1940s Army language into 1990s, 2000s Army language. But a lot of folks don't have a military background anymore. And that's where Jonathan's book comes into play. And it's a, a one-stop shop for folks who want to make sense of not only the military, but how the United States Army worked in the 40s. So if you see things like my grandfather was in the Coast Artillery, and he spent a lot of time in anti-aircraft units. So you would see AAA is written in so many different places on his record brief because he was in a variety of anti-aircraft units. So AAA stood for anti-aircraft artillery. If you didn't know what that meant, in sections of Jonathan's great book, you can find out specifically, well, that's exactly what they're talking about when they talk about AAA. So Jonathan breaks it down by what every branch in the military did at the time. I'm trying to find a good example right here with the combat arms branches. Here we go right here. So there's a description of how the Coast Artillery functioned, some different pictures of what the insignia would look like, what the different department patches that members of the Coast Artillery might wear. And he does this for every branch. So there's a discussion of what the infantry did, what the field artillery did. My own personal branch, I was involved in the Signal Corps. So there's a discussion of how the Signal Corps performed during the Second World War. So as you start researching your family's records and these terms come up, even if they don't make any sense to you, another example would be my grandfather was a regimental XO for a while, and that was abbreviated REGT. And you don't know what reg means if you see that written down somewhere in the section on the book about Army organization, all the way from the big United States Army all the way down to small unit level. Jonathan breaks it down. You know, how many people were in a division, how many were in a regiment, how many in a battalion, further down the chain, how those terms might be abbreviated, what a CO meant, commanding officer, what an XO meant, executive officer. Another example would be the military occupational specialties, the jobs people had. Jobs had either a 3 or 4-digit code, depending on what a soldier did in the United States Army in the 1940s. For a while, my grandfather's job specialty was 1174, which was anti-aircraft unit commander. He's listed down here as an 1174. He transferred to the infantry late in the war, and he was a 1542. If you don't know what a 1542 is, or an 1174, there's plenty of examples in here you can track down what those terms mean. And if the specific MOS isn't listed in the book by Jonathan, he gives you the means to figure out how to research it, where to go to find the records. If you have records on hand right now, old orders assigning people to active duty, like this set of orders from my grandfather, promotion orders where he was promoted from lieutenant to captain in the Army of the United States, AUS. The book explains the difference between the standing regular army, the National Guard, and what the AUS was, the Army of the United States. It explains how you could hold one rank as a regular Army officer, but be temporarily promoted in the Army of the United States as the military expanded during World War II. So you could actually hold an operational rank and a permanent rank. He explains those differences. It's a very, very detailed book. It's got a total of 5 sections, 13 amazing appendices that talk about every division in the United States Army, gives a brief history of the campaigns that they participated in, has beautiful full color plates of what their patches look like. You see, I want to turn, I got it marked for the right page there where the divisions were. Excuse me for a second, folks. He talks about different awards and decorations that soldiers received. Here we go. Right here is a cross section of, gives a breakdown of the different divisions, whether it was an infantry division, airborne division, an armored division. He talks about the corps, the armies, the different echelons above corps, shows each one of their patches. So you might just have a picture of what a patch looked like, more than likely to be able to find it here. You might have a photograph or an old decoration, a set of wings. Maybe your ancestor was a pilot or a navigator, bombardier, worked on aircraft, that jumped out of aircraft. You have these pins, you don't know what they mean. Chances are there's going to be a plate that shows you the different decoration. It shows where it got placed on the uniform. Here's a great picture right here of uniform placement. Different discussion of what different medals might look like that your ancestors received. And so you can dig into this book and determine, wow, I can kind of create this whole history just from these different disparate pieces of evidence using Jonathan Gaugne's great resource as a guide. He very accurately points out that a dress uniform for a soldier is almost like a resume that they wear. And this book can help you decode those resumes if you have pictures. And if you have any piece of evidence, chances are there's going to be some guidance in here for how you can make good sense of it. The book is very accessible. It's written in very straightforward language. If he doesn't devolve into jargon, if he uses a military term, he takes great pains, to explain what those terms mean in very common language. And it's just an overall great book. If you're a beginner who just has always wanted to understand your family's military history more and didn't know where to start, this book is going to give you the blueprints. And if you have a little bit of knowledge in the area already, the book is still a joy to read because it has a variety of great pictures that are, you can break down and test your knowledge and determine, gee, what type of uniforms are these guys wearing? What was this soldier's role in the military? It has a variety of photos that I personally haven't seen before that I'm really enjoying. There's a great photo. If you give me 1 second, I've got too many things marked in here right now of a unit that just returned from combat at the end of World War II. It's a company commander and his officers, and you can see them wearing a variation of the pinks and greens uniform, proudly wearing their combat infantry badges, a variety of decorations and ribbons earned in overseas combat, and just really gives you an understanding of what these soldiers' uniforms would look like. And it's not just a dusty, out of context picture anymore. He breaks it down, he explains it, and you can transfer this knowledge that he provides in the book to your own family's military history. So once again, the book is called Finding Your Father's War by Jonathan Gawne. It's published by Casemate Publishing. You can find it on Casemate's website. You can order it off Amazon. I rate it 5 stars. It's a fantastic piece of work, and I've been enjoying going through it very much. So this has been Ben Powers with the Commander's Voice doing my first video book review. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell more people about the website. Thank you very much and have a great evening.